Hi, Mike. Could you give me a brief history about the club, please?
Yeah, certainly. Well, it started in 1951 at the request of a number of enthusiasts, with Sydney as its chairman. But by then they felt they needed an organisation of their own, because the cars had been made since 1947, the first cars came out, and the company used to publish a series of enthusiast newsletters. But and a lot of the members at that time were in the London Car Club, the North Eastern Enthusiast Club. But in '51 they got together in a pub in Hammersmith and formed the Allard Owners Club, so with Sydney as its president. And interestingly, the first vice president was General Butch Griswold, who was the deputy chief of staff of the US Air Force.
So could you give me a brief history of the racing of the Allards?
Yes, yes. Well, Sydney lived to race. He was a competitor right from 1931. He competed. He had a three-wheeler Morgan. He made it a four-wheeler. Then he had a Ford V8, and then he built his first special CLK5, and that was very successful. He became the man to beat on all the hill climbs, and subsequently all the enthusiasts wanted one. So pre-war he built 12 Allard specials. He was running Allard's motors at the time, so he built 12 pre-war Allard specials. During the war they ran a motor transport repair facility for the Ministry of War, rebuilding Ford V8 trucks and staff cars. And whilst the war was on, even I think as early as 1942, a chap called Imhoff was sort of suggesting that what they did after the war was to go into the niche market for performance cars using V8 engines. And I think during the war they tried a few things around the factory yard, the chassis and things, the engines. So as soon as the war was over in '45, they formed the Allard Motor Company, based in Putney, where Allards were. And then got into production. And of course, things were very difficult. But Sydney, again, the whole ethos of the business was to provide facilities for Sydney to go racing. I mean, pre-war, he won 70 awards in trials, 70 sort of gold and silver awards in trials, and he just couldn't wait to get back in action after the war. And he was, whatever the car was, that all the developments of the car were really aimed at Sydney being able to do better. And he built the first really significant car he had was the Steyr, which was an Austrian air-cooled engined car with single-seater, and he won the Hill Climb Championship with that, and he went everywhere, beat Stirling Moss. I think it was '49. And then they got into the J2s. That car behind us on the corner was the first J2, which he raced. He raced that in the production car race in 1949. Didn't win it. Then he went into Le Mans. He raced 3 or 4 times at Le Mans. Once the Monte Carlo rally got going in '49, he was into that. And in all, he went on, I think, 12 or 13 Monte Carlo rallies. He's got a whole string of medals, Monte Carlo medals and bars. Latterly, he used sponsored by Fords and went in Zephyrs and Zodiacs and things. And right at the end, just when he was about to pass away, he was using the Allardettes, which was a 105E beefed up, sort of supercharged 105E Ford. And he went on the Monte Carlo in that. He died in 1965, unfortunately.
And of course we had Cyril Wick here yesterday, didn't you? Who won the team trophy, didn't he, at Chelsea Walsh?
That's right, yes. Well, because Sydney was admired by a great many people, even from pre-war. They stuck with him for years and years, and you had people like Cyril Wick, who did very well. He and his brother were rallying and international rallying in J2s or pre-war specials, right from 47-ish. A bloke called Imhoff went to Miola Hill Climb, and Sydney used to go to Switzerland hill climbing once or twice, some of the big hill climbs. And then there's a chap called Rupert de Larranaga who had that J2X Le Mans over there. He was quite a wealthy man. Liverpool Shipping Company was the family business. He's still alive on the Isle of Man. He did a lot of Chelsea Walshes and Prescotts and stuff like that. it was. And then there's various people went circuit racing. Watkins. There was a chap called Richard Carnegie had a run. He was I think it was an Earl, a Scottish Earl, and so Sydney had a lot of support from people who admired him for what he did and the cars, and they gave him a lot of support in his business as well.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, for the interview. Thanks very much indeed.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.